We were curious, what determines our happiness? After a little bit of research, we found that 40% of happiness is determined by your actions, by your attitude, your optimism, and the way you handle situations. Hey everyone, and welcome to the I Got This podcast with LEX and MGP. My name is Lex, and I've been a personal trainer over the last 5 years. Martha started her fitness journey with me 3 years ago, and over that time, she's lost over 60 pounds and changed her entire perspective on life. Join us each and every week as we talk about our journey together, healthy lifestyle habits, and of course, the I Got This mentality. Hey everybody, welcome back to I Got This Pod with Lex and MGP. We're continuing our talk on happiness from last episode. We just had so much fun with it last ep, so we are continuing it here today.
It made us happy.
It made us happy. Made me joyful. I felt a lot of connection.
Yes.
I'm really excited to expand my emotional vocabulary, actually. All right. So we did, if you guys haven't listened to our last episode on emotions of happiness, go ahead, check it out. I think that'll be episode number 45, right?
I think so, yeah.
Kind of cool. And this is 46. So with that being said, we're going to talk about what creates happiness, how to become happier, and all of the above. So upon our research, Google, but we did find a few articles that were like similar. So I found a few articles.
Well, cited. You found some cited studies.
I did find some cited studies.
We're not just, winging it.
Pop it up. First thing that popped up on Google. No, but we did find that between 50 and 60% of people's happiness is determined by their genetic makeup. 50 and 60%, that's a pretty large amount.
It is.
40% is determined by state of mind.
Okay. Like the individual themselves, right?
Exactly. Yep. Okay. And then 10% is circumstance.
So anything external.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. So 40% internal, 10% circumstance external. Genetics is like a pretty big one.
It is.
So you do know people that are more of an Eeyore, and then you know people who are more of a Tigger.
Yeah. And think about even families. Like that's such a happy family all the time. Like I've said that about people.
Yeah. Like my family is high energy, happy people. And that makes sense. Like everybody in the family is a high energy, happy person.
Yeah. And I would say the same kind of about my family, including extended, like cousins and stuff.
Yes, me too.
To the point where my husband, when he came in, was like, wow, that's a lot of That's a lot.
That's a lot of energy, a lot going on. We're quite similar. So I think that's like why we get along, but also the lows of this podcast is maybe one day we'll add a third. We'll be taking auditions. Somebody who can give us a different perspective, maybe. Yeah. Right?
Right.
We'll be taking auditions.
Send in your tapes
to be on the pod with us. Anyways, so we need somebody who is unhappy. I'm just kidding.
Doesn't like to work out.
Has a different genetic makeup than we do, basically. Anyway, so some people do find it harder to be happier. And that makes sense. I mean, there are people who are naturally depressed who have even more of a chemical imbalance in the brain.
Sure. We're not talking about mental health here.
No.
Because we're not mental health professionals.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you feel any issues with sadness beyond what we're talking about today, please see a trained professional, a therapist, like psychologist. We're just talking about what we know.
Yep.
So with that being said, I think the other two truly are perspective. So genetic makeup is one thing. Can't touch that.
No, we can't control our base level, so to speak, according to these studies.
Exactly. But from your base level, you can alter your state from there.
Yeah. Let's make your life happier and more fulfilling, right?
Exactly. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
How do you make yourself happier?
So happiness is probably something that we all need to consciously pursue. And some of us have an easier time with that than others, of course, right? But one of the main things I think is that you should be cultivating strong relationships.
Yes.
I think that is going to be an essential part of your well-being, that social support.
So this is something that we just talked about. I'll pull up the study. Okay, so there was a study Harvard did. They spent 80 years studying happiness. This is an article that I found. So Harvard did a study. It was about 75 years long.
Okay.
They started with the graduating class, Harvard graduates, 1939 to 1944, which is interesting because that's like right during and after World War II.
Yeah.
Interesting. And it followed these people throughout their life. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So 75 years.
So it looked at them for over 80 years. So you think they're 22 then? So till they were maybe some of them 100.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now I think there are quite a few other graduating classes after that they followed too.
Mm-hmm.
So they found that the number one leading cause in happiness was good relationships.
Okay.
Keep us happier and healthier, period. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Good relationships.
I believe it.
Meaningful ones.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, you want your deep relationships, right?
Yeah, it's true. It's like I was sitting in the car the other day. I was like, I feel like I need to have a good, solid, connected conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And I always feel like after I have a good, solid, connected conversation about my emotions or about how I'm truly feeling, and somebody understands me and somebody's listening to me, and then I can do the same for them, and it's meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
I feel better after.
Absolutely.
I feel relieved. I feel content. I feel good.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a sense of joy per se, but I feel like I'm seen, I'm heard, and I belong.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting. I feel like just like we talked about in the previous episode, even when I speak to somebody from outside the walk of life that I know, like
Mm-hmm.
people in my current circle, the people that I'm around every single day, people at gyms are generally happier, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I go outside of that space, even because I'm at the gym all day long,
right.
I came across a gentleman who I never thought I would connect with. And he was a gentleman not from my same walk of life,
Mm-hmm.
but we were talking about something that we had in common. It was skiing, and it was sitting in a line at UPS. And it made my heart so happy.
And it stayed with you.
And it stayed with me. To this day, it's been weeks since that moment. And I probably will never cross paths with that person again.
Mm-hmm.
But it just made me so happy. It's interesting how connection does deepen your happiness, for sure. So how do we go about finding deeper connections?
Yeah. I mean, you have to consider deepening some of your existing relationships, right?
Absolutely.
I know a lot of people who will complain about that they don't really have a lot of friends or but you have to put in the effort.
Yeah.
You know, how many times have you like, oh, I don't know if I really feel like going out tonight, or I don't really feel like hanging out with people.
Yeah.
But then you do, and you're happy you did.
Yeah.
So I think you have to be open to those opportunities sometimes.
I think you're right. I often am a bit of a hermit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I just don't have the energy for that, or that's not the lifestyle I want to live. But also the things that you do, like you will find the right friends and the right connections, even if they are far and few. They're the right ones that will allow you. They're the ones that will allow you to feel connected, even if there are a few of them.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's what we were talking about a little bit before we went on air.
I said to you, Martha, you have so many friends.
And I said, I have a lot of social acquaintances, but true friends are few and far between.
Yeah. I could count my good friends on one hand. The ones that I could call, even if we haven't talked in years, and I would feel a solid connection. I could explain the heartache that I'm feeling or the joy that I'm feeling,
right,
or whatever emotion, and they could truly connect and listen and not weigh in a negative manner. I think the friends that we keep are the ones that you feel a connection with. Are always the ones that don't weigh in and nudge you towards a certain direction. They're the ones that listen and feel what you're feeling and truly care about what you're saying.
Yeah. The ones that know the real you.
Yeah. And I'm sure, and that's, you do have to nourish those and feed those and water those relationships. Most definitely.
Yeah. And so I think that's really important. And, and then you have to try to explore ways to make new friends sometimes, or new connections. Yeah.
And it's hard though.
And that's hard, especially as adults. It's so easy as a kid.
An adult. It's easy as a kid. It's hard as an adult. And even new friendships sometimes take a lot more effort.
Yeah. And it's kind of like dating.
It is.
Without the romance part, but it is kind of like a date in a way.
Yeah. You sit there, you talk, you interview them, you see if you have a connection, a friend connection. Yeah.
You try not to do anything awkward.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. I think it's harder. And then you find somebody you like at a party and you're like, we should hang out. And then you don't put that effort in to do so. Like the amount of girlfriends that I've met over the last year and I've had like a great connection with, I like this person, but I don't go out of my way to make time for them. It's a lot.
Yeah. You have to cultivate it.
Yeah.
Oh, how many times have you said to someone, oh, we should grab drinks or we should grab a coffee? But you never do.
I know.
That's just a nice way of saying goodbye. Never see you again.
And that's sad in reality when we are the quality of our relationships. It's interesting. And it's I think your gut tells you when it's a meaningful one. Like you can listen to that and say, okay, this person probably will not serve you in the way you're looking. Your gut will tell you.
Mhm.
But then if you're like, your gut is calling like, hey, I should text that person. Like you kind of know in a weird way. Like,
Right.
I think I want this person in my life. I should
Mhm.
explore this friendship.
And we have to be brave about that because it's like dating.
It is.
Sometimes you don't want to put yourself out there.
Exactly.
But-
And it could be nerve wracking. Like, what are they going to say? Or
Yeah, what are they going to think about me? Yeah,
Yes.
right. It could be the same thing.
Friendship dating. You know that thing on Bumble? It's Bumble for Friends. Have you
Yeah,
seen
BFF
that?
or whatever. I
Yeah.
haven't used it, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
My friend, when she moved to LA, she used it and she met so many great people on that app. It was kind of cute. I was like, maybe I'll get that in the same city I grew up in. But I come across a lot of people I know. But still.
You can still swipe left, right? Or
On Friends. Yeah, I like that. I like that one a lot. Okay, so other ways that you can become happier. Let's build on.
So one of the things we touched on in the last episode was showing gratitude,
Yes.
right? So I actually was reading about a study where participants were asked to engage in a writing exercise for 10 minutes each night before bed.
Okay.
And it says some were instructed to write about daily hassles, some neutral events, and some about things they were grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
So they basically had like a control group and then like one that was complaining and one that was grateful.
Yeah.
And the results found, surprisingly not, those who had written about gratitude had increased positive emotions, increased subjective happiness, and improved their life satisfaction.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Just like we said, what you think about, you will feel. So your attitude is, if your attitude is gratitude, you're going to feel better.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this last episode.
Yep.
One of the first things that you started doing to change your life
Mm-hmm.
was to start journaling on a daily basis and pick something you were grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I feel sad now, I start to look for the good. And it does seem like for some people, it may be harder.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we're kind of biased because we are both naturally happier people.
But I found this to be a hard task at first. I felt uncomfortable doing it.
It is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like to pull out the things at first that you wouldn't normally be grateful for,
Mm-hmm.
or to pull out the things that you wouldn't even think of as, I don't know. It's just, it's interesting. Like I would never say, like you would say the roof over your head, but you wouldn't really mean it.
Right. That's what I mean. I would, in the beginning, I think I wrote down things I thought I should be writing down.
Yes. And then eventually did it become real, to become genuine?
Yeah. And I think I actually switched more to things I'm truly grateful for. And even if they're silly. And at first I had to get over myself a little bit because who's reading it?
Nobody but yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's kind of funny now. I've gone back and looked to see what I wrote down, 2-3 years ago, just to see.
What was it?
What did I write down?
Yeah.
So, I mean, in the beginning, it was like all the obvious stuff you would think about. I'm grateful that I have a job that pays me well. I'm thankful that I have, a great husband, which I am. I'm grateful for these things, but it was like the stuff you're expected to write.
Mm-hmm.
And now it might just be, I'm grateful that I had a warm toasty bagel this morning because it just made me happy.
I'm grateful I get to spend my Friday night with you. Like
exactly.
Like how cool, how fun. Like what a fun thing to do on my Friday evening. Like I thought about that multiple times. I was like, I'm so lucky I get to do this. Whereas other people might say, ew, what are you doing on Friday? Why aren't you like, why
aren't you going to the bar and hanging out? Yeah, right.
Some things like that. I'm like, this is the best way I could possibly spend
Well, and I'm
Friday
grateful.
evening.
I was grateful this afternoon that you sent me a text that you were grateful that I was doing this with you tonight.
I'm grateful you're grateful.
Exactly.
I was really excited. But no, I do believe it has there's a pattern of pathways in your brain. When you start to practice gratitude repetitively, you will continuously be grateful.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think, again, this is part of happiness is by choice, not by chance.
Mm-hmm.
This is part of, you have to practice it. You have to fake it till you make it to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do a lot of things kind of forcefully before it comes natural. And if it's that hard and you feel like you're in really tough space mentally, sometimes we are in those lows and it's really hard to find something to be grateful for. But if you dig, you'll find it.
Mm-hmm. There's always something.
There's always something.
Yeah. I started a practice this school year where every Friday I send out a Friday shout out to my department, my whole department. I blast it out. And, I put it in there, any kind of information they might need for the upcoming week, just a little blurb, like, don't forget this is due, or we have this coming up, or, finals week is next week, like that kind of stuff. If you need help accessing, whatever. But then I always put at the bottom my shout outs for the week. And so if anyone in the department did something above and beyond, or, just whatever it is. And they all get so excited about it now, and we're talking full grown adults. I mean, we're not.
That would make me so happy when somebody shows me that they're grateful for something that I did. It makes my heart so joyful. When you show gratitude for so you doing that for them is huge, because a lot of people are not recognized in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And it's funny. I mean, how excited they get, like they're little kids. And I'm talking people in their 50s and 60s.
I know, but think about
excited.
It. As you age, you become less of a priority. Your children become a bigger part of your life. I guess I understand it, because not because I'm there, because I'm not. I am definitely the movie star of my life right now. But one day I will not be, when I have children, hopefully, right?
Yeah, you definitely become the supporting actress then.
Exactly. So by that time, in your 60s as a woman, I know most of those people are women or fathers.
I both. Yeah.
Yeah. You no longer become the movie star of your life. So how cool that you shout them out. Their kids aren't saying thank you for being you all the time. Their husband and wife are not, sometimes it's hard for you to say that as well after years. You're like, how much I love you. It's like, well, you don't get that from work a lot.
Yeah.
You don't get
it's
that
kind of
from
funny, because they'll
say,
say, they've admitted to me that they skip over all the informational stuff to get to the shout outs first and then come back. And I purposely put them at the end because I need them to read some of the other stuff.
Good for you, though. That's awesome.
But, and it can be something silly, it was one of the girls' birthdays this week. And so we gave her a shout out that it was her birthday, and we got to celebrate her all week.
Awesome.
It's just something like that. And
yeah. I think that's the other thing, is being grateful for the people you have in your life and sharing that. Because when you're more focused on other people, again, that's another thing. If you're focused on other people, how can you be sad about yourself? If you're focused on helping others and making others feel special and listening to others, how can you be sad about what you have going on?
Yeah. And it's contagious. I think that gratitude is contagious, because once I send out the shout outs, other people chime in and they'll reply all to the email and say, oh, but we need to also shout out this other person too, because they did this thing for me. So that's become kind of like a domino effect.
That's so wonderful. Isn't that cool? Joy is infectious, just as toxicity is infectious.
And they look forward to it. And I didn't realize how much they looked forward to it until one week I didn't do it because I wasn't there on a Friday. And I didn't get to it till Monday. And they were like, oh, did we not get Friday shout outs this week? So, it's kind of fun.
I like that. Other ways that we can be happy.
Yes. A big mood booster for me, shocking, and I know this kind of goes with our podcast, of course, but is getting regular exercise.
Is it for you, or is that on the list?
It's on the list too. But
okay, I was going to say, I know it's for you. I know it's for me, but is it proven elsewhere?
Yes.
Hell yes, it is, baby. Hell yes, it is. We stand by that. You exercise regular. You move your body. A body in motion creates emotion, baby.
I think you're fired up on this one.
Yeah. How could I not be? No. Exercise is the absolute best medicine.
I have a list of numerous studies here that show regular exercise may play a role in warding off symptoms of depression, and it makes you happier too.
Yeah. That's why, changing your life begins and ends with, it begins with exercise. It ends with mindset, mentality, how you attack situations, relationships, ends with a lot more. But it starts with exercise. You start moving your body, motion creates emotion. So, that's the easiest thing. Oh, yeah. Just start moving, whether that's a walk, whether that's full-on exercise. Move your flipping body. Sometimes, I think it was the other day, yes, I move a lot at work, but I had been sitting for so long, I was kind of getting tired. And when you get tired, then you get a little bit more low energy, and low energy then moves to sadness and thoughts and all that good stuff. I was like, oh my God, I need to go for a walk.
It's hard to dwell if you're moving.
It's hard to dwell if you're moving.
Yes.
And blood gets flowing to your brain, and you become more creative, and all these amazing things happening. Energy's flowing, oxygen's flowing. So that's obvious. Obviously, I'm pumped up about that one. I'm so passionate about it. I will not stop. Move your flipping body.
I made this. You'll appreciate this.
Yeah.
But my Algebra 2 class that I have first hour, so this is 7:20 in the morning. So it's early to be doing some high level math, right?
Yeah.
And they were all just in a mood yesterday.
You can tell when a group's in a mood. You're blah.
It's
stop.
30 kids, they're all 15, 16, just looking at me like, oh, she is going to make us do this math. It's like that kind of face right now. And I could just tell they had no energy. The chemistry of the room was off. I made them get up and do jumping jacks.
Get up and move.
And they're like, seriously? I'm like, seriously.
Good job.
And then they just all started laughing, and we got to work.
That's awesome.
So it's one of those, exactly. It works. You have to move. You just have to
move.
get moving. So, and I obviously work out more than this, but it can be as little as 10 minutes a day from what these studies say that I'm reading over here.
Yeah. We forget to move. I think that's a big thing is you forget to make it a big part of your routine. And that's hard. Again, when your life is bogged with a million things that you have to do or want to do, and exercise doesn't feel like one of them. I've been there. I get it. I feel like my priorities sometimes lie elsewhere than movement, and that's okay. But as long as I move in some form, gosh, does it elevate my life.
I mean, if you just track your steps, you'll be shocked at how little you move sometimes.
Oh my God, right?
For the people who have desk jobs, I mean, you have a very active job. Mine is moderately active, not as active as yours. But for people who are, in Zoom calls all day and chained to their desk, I can't even imagine.
It's actually interesting. So the recommended for you, the United States citizen, for a person to be active is about 15,000 steps. Hard to get.
Yeah.
Right?
I push for 10.
10,000. I challenge everybody listening to this. If you don't have a step counter, try it. Try to get to 10,000 steps for 30 days in a row. It will be so hard for you to accomplish, but that's how much your body needs to move. We are people, we are atoms. Atoms are meant to move. We're built up by these tiny little atoms that are constantly moving, and we're sitting there. We're meant to move, baby.
Yeah.
We are. And that's why happy people work out.
And it's tough. 10,000 is tough. So
it's hard.
Start with 6, get to 8,
Yeah, start low, but I challenge you. I mean, try to get to 10 as close as you can. See what that does for your mentality. Don't use it as an experiment for fat loss. Use it as an experiment for your joy meter.
Yeah.
Challenge you. Try it.
No, I've been doing it this month. I've been trying to get 10,000 every day. And there's oftentimes it's like 8:30 at night. And I'm like, oh, I only have 8,000. And I make the dog get her collar. we go around the block 3 times or whatever it is.
I love it. Yes.
And, and it's just me and her out there. I'm sure the neighbors are like, oh, there goes Martha and her dog again.
I love it. And you're happier.
Yeah. It just feels good. It's kind of actually a mental clarity moment too. I'm at peace. Maybe I'm listening to some music. The dog's just walking along. She's all happy. So yeah.
I love it. But that's awesome.
It is harder than it looks though to get. It sounds like 10,000 is easy. It is not easy.
It's not easy, but I challenge. That's my challenge. So let me know if you take it on. All right. Anything else on the list?
Finding a sense of purpose can make you happier. Yeah. So another research study found that people who feel like they have a purpose have better well-being and feel more fulfilled. So a sense of purpose involves seeing your life as having goals, direction, and meaning. And it will help you to promote healthier behaviors, it says.
Yes.
Yeah. So some things you can do. Explore your interests and passions. Engage in social and altruistic causes. Look for new things you might want to learn more about or try. Oh, that's been my thing for the last couple of years. Yeah.
It has been.
Yeah.
It's hard to speak on that one. I just feel like when you found your purpose, the world seems to come together. When you feel lost, that's common. And
it's
normal.
Sometimes hard to find your purpose.
Yeah. You just have to try and try and try new things.
And it's never too late to keep trying new things. That's my own little piece of wisdom.
Kind of like what we talked about last episode. Again, if you guys haven't listened, go listen. Finding your purpose.
But you want positive actions in order to get you toward those goals.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think just doing one thing that makes you feel like you are contributing to the world in some way. I think when you're contributing to society in some way that feels meaningful, you'll find your purpose. Obviously, once you feel like you're helping others, your purpose becomes like for a bigger cause. That's why everybody says, I just want to help others. Like, it sounds silly, but it's a very real thing.
When you know you've had an impact in someone's life.
Yes.
That's a big deal.
There couldn't be a better feeling in the world. So if you can find some way to do that, even a small way, even if you have a desk job and you work in customer service, sometimes those customer service reps are the happiest people to talk to. They may put me in a better mood because those people that can be another form of a connection. On the phone, talking to somebody, how you speak to those people, those little forms of connection. How are you affecting them? Little things, you can find a way. It's something I'm curious to see our listeners. I know they're from all walks of life. How do you impact others? How do you find that purpose? I'm curious. And then there's passion. There's passion and there's purpose. And if you can combine those two, damn, you're in a lucky boat.
Yeah.
I think that's what I found.
That's the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah. Passion plus purpose. Damn, that's cool.
I know there's a lot of challenges that people will say, oh, maybe they think, oh, it's easy for you or it's easy for me to say we're happy or find happiness. But there's a lot of things you can do too to make sure that you're choosing happiness. And I know one for me is not valuing the wrong things. So making sure I'm not valuing the wrong things. So for me, anything I can do to help save time is where I would want to spend my money, not necessarily in the gathering of goods, so that you can have that time to be happy. People always say money can't buy happiness.
Yes.
Right? And I agree to a point, but money can buy me time.
Money can buy you time, yes.
As opposed to materialistic goods.
Yes.
So I've also made a focus of using money to, at times, hire people to do other jobs, or so that I can have time to do things that I would rather have my passion be on.
Yes. Like I don't like spending time doing my lawn work. So I hire someone to do that. Yes. I like that.
Yes. Like I have someone that comes in and cleans my house.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to spend 3 hours every weekend doing that.
Yeah. I think it's picking and choosing for sure.
Yes. So if you can afford to spend some money on some time saving services, I think that can help you to increase happiness and some life satisfaction.
I think that's awesome. And I also think, affording, you can afford little things like that here and there. For instance, like my lawn service is valuable to me in that way because that's, for some people, it would take an hour. For me, it'll take 3. Same thing. You're cleaning your house. For some people, it'll take, it's those 3 hours. It's something that will really take such a load off your shoulders. So whether it's not those two things, I like that. Whether it's having somebody to take a load off your shoulders with working out. If you're like, I don't know what to do.
Right.
Taking a load off your shoulders with grocery shopping, if you can pay to get shipped. I think that's a big one for people. You can pay to get it delivered to your house, pay to pick it up. I agree. I think those eases of life definitely affect your life.
You can overvalue sometimes things like money and status or other material possessions. Or you can kind of free up some of those burdens, and it can be a choice. And I get everyone's in a different, economic status or whatever. But
absolutely.
But if you can make some decisions where maybe instead of going to Starbucks, I'm going to pay to have my lawn done on the weekends.
Absolutely.
So that would be the kind of thing that I'm talking about there.
Yeah.
So that one has been huge.
Yeah.
For us.
I like that. I agree with that one.
And also, like in your pursuit of happiness, it says happiness isn't a goal that you can simply reach and be done with. It's not an end point.
No, there is no end point.
I
think the realest thing of this conversation is understanding that happiness is a moment. Happiness is a day-to-day. Happiness is not always attainable.
It's a continual pursuit.
Exactly. We're going to have highs and we're going to have lows, and those are the beauties of life. I cry every other day. It doesn't mean I'm not a happy person.
You just feel the feels.
I feel them, baby. I cried at the Hunger Games last night. But it doesn't mean...
That's a valid.
It's sad. With that being said, it doesn't mean I'm not a happy person. I think just knowing that, yes, there are these terms, there are these things that make us become happy in a moment. But if we can grab onto those different words and those different feelings at as many parts of our life as we can, how joyous will our life be? And if we increase the habits that make you happy,
right,
then I'm sure you'll become a happier person.
Yeah.
But lucky for us, we are genetically a little bit happier, but I'm sure we can increase our baseline a bit.
Absolutely. And it's been through choices that we've made. Yeah,
exactly. I think I did. I don't know if I said it in the last episode, but it is a meaningful moment to me, and I'd like to share it. When I was in college, I would get very bad seasonal depression. And so I found this sign, and it still hangs in my room to this day. It says, happiness is by choice. It's not by chance. And every time I go through a hard time, because those will come, and happiness will be hard at some points in life, just looking at that it's just a reminder. I can be sad. There's going to be low times. Life's going to be hard, but I can choose how I'm going to come out of it, or am I going to sit and sulk?
Right. And that's where the choice comes into play. Absolutely.
I got this, baby.
Happiness. I got it.
All right, guys. Well, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode. Again, we will never, ever diminish the importance of mental health, never acting as therapists. absolutely not. If you feel like this is a topic that you need more help on, please reach out to a mental health specialist. But love talking about this topic today. It was one of our more fun ones, and we can't wait to talk to you guys next week.
I got this. Hey guys, thanks for listening this week. Please leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts. For more I Got This content, please make sure to follow, like, and share on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, or you can always go to our website, igotThisPod.com, for more info. As always, thanks for listening. See you next Monday.